great day. He walked all over Chicago, and I can't even see anything in these glasses. I gotta switch here. So we went all over Chicago. Dan, you live here, and you're one of the keynote speakers at the InsuranceNewsNet Super Conference this September 26th through the 28th. So, Dan, what are you going to be talking about at this year's Super Conference?
Well, my focus is on influence, and all sales skills are language skills in essence. So what we're going to talk about is objection handling. And here's the anchoring phrase I like to use for sales professionals. Great sales pros can predict the future. They know what can happen, so they know what will happen, and they are never surprised. When you get an objection like 2 or 3 times and you're stuck by it, you better figure out a way to move through that resistance.
So a lot of guys get stuck in the same thing, the same trap, they get the same objection, and they don't really have a solid answer for that. What do you say to people that have that happen to them?
First of all, objections are the biggest choke point in sales. They start at the beginning of the conversation, and they'll flow through the whole conversation, multiple meetings, whatever. You're always going to get some form of resistance. It could be about a half a dozen different things. So what we do, and this is my most requested speaking presentation, it's my most requested organic consulting gig. So when I say organic, I mean when we learn to have better dialogues with one another, this works in our personal as well as our professional lives. That's really what we want, right? Isn't that true? Oh my gosh.
It's everywhere.
Yeah. So I have a process for creating a book on dealing with objections. And this ultimate objection handling tool is what we're going to work through during the 75 minutes or so that we have together. It's fantastic. We'll identify 5 or 6 top objections. We'll create a whole bunch of different responses to it. And that's the fun part. We might just ask people in the audience, and our learners there, how would you deal with this objection? Like, your fees are too high. The premiums are too expensive. That's too much money. We want to draw off the collective brainpower of everybody in the room.
I know, and there's going to be hundreds of people there. The collective brainpower at this conference is going to be huge.
And you know what I want to do? If we can do this, in a lot of events I'm at, we'll ask people to write down on a piece of paper how many years of sales experience, and then we collect it all, and we end up finding that there's 17,000 years of sales experience in the room. And then what do they need us for, right? If they were just talking to each other, they wouldn't need us, but it's more fun to hang out with us anyway. We develop responses to objections. So, and there's some creative psychological methods we use to develop responses too. So I teach sales professionals to frame your response so that it's something that's good. So our services are like the new MacBook Pro of the financial services world. On the other hand, we might disagree with something somebody's saying to us, and we want to reframe or say it a different way, like, ooh, haven't you ever decided to upgrade your car because the decisions you made the last time didn't really work for you? So we use story, you inject story a little bit, but I have a bunch of methods, and so we'll come up with a whole bunch of responses, and in the book we end up with, there might be 40, 50, 60 responses to each one of those top 5 or 6 objections.
Wow, so we're really this is going to be an interactive workshop.
Yeah.
It's not going to be the preaching that you normally get at so many of these conferences from some sales trainer who doesn't really understand it. You're going to hear stuff like from your peers, and you're going to learn from that. Yeah. And you're going to be able to build a book, your own objection handler book.
Sure. Anybody that looks me up will see I've written a 544-page encyclopedia of best practices in sales training, and they're tactical. Everything's tactical in it. It's
and your
useful.
Book doesn't have a lot of pictures in it either.
No,
it's
no.
A lot,
we have all these events to go to all day long. I want to make sure I give to somebody something that's extremely useful right away. So like if you weren't at last year's event, I opened on teaching people how to read emotions. It was a blast. Wasn't that crazy?
People learned so much from that.
So if you missed last year, you don't want to miss this year, because people were grabbing me throughout the rest of the conference going like, I only got 1 out of 14 emotions right in the faces you showed us. But then we taught people what to look for, and their scores skyrocketed. The same thing's going to happen this year when we teach them how to deal with objections.
So Dan, I'm going to ask you something, and I haven't even discussed this with you yet.
Uh-oh.
But I know that you can let us do this, but can we get your presentation from last year?
I'd love to share with you. Unfortunately, there's global intellectual property rights issues, and people just have to show up this year to the conference and get everything live, take it home.
See, that's the power of why you need to come to these things, because you can't even get what was
I didn't do that on purpose. It's just the way it worked out.
It was so good. It blew everyone's mind about how to read people basically like a book.
Right. So we decided to do an objection handling tool this year. We could have done questioning skills or closing skills or things like that. But this tool will be something really special.
How to interrogate your clients.
Yeah. It'll be fun and it's interactive.
And you're going to cover some great content because, Dan, you are a super dynamic person. I am so glad to have you speaking at the conference because last year you were the highest rated person at that show.
I hope it's because I love what I do and I hope that bleeds into the whole experience.
And it was real. I had done some of that training before, and I thought the way you presented it was just so dynamic and so genuine and powerful.
It's cool stuff.
This guy is awesome presenter, and you've got to come to the InsuranceNewsNet Super Conference this September 26th through the 28th here in Chicago. See Dan Seidman. This guy's a dynamic speaker, educator, trainer. It's not just about what he's going to teach you, it's what he's going to draw out from everybody in that room. And it is going to be interactive, and it's going to be phenomenal.
It is, it really is.
So, and I hope to see you in Chicago.